G'day. This is going to be Chapter 2 of Owners Corporation Act, Victoria, from an essence perspective. Same as previous video. This video, starting with this disclaimer first. This video is for educational content only, and it's reflecting the perspective from an essence point. It's not for legal advice. Viewers should form their own judgment. Cool. Right. Let's get right into it. So in this chapter 2, I'm going to talk about voting and how voting works. We're going to talk about a couple of scenarios in voting. The first scenario is about lot entitlement. So when you become a part of OC, like when you purchase a property and that property is a part of an OC, there will be a lot entitlement. So basically, entitlement is like, how much proportion of the overall OC entitlement this lot will have. So just as an example, so I've just went to Google and just searched for this lot entitlement PDF, and this is the example you can open. If you get your plan of subdivision, this can be which can be obtained from the official land government channels, or you can get it from your OC. You can request from OC. So there will be a section basically in saying oh, lot 1 is entitlement to one entitlement, or probably 50 or 50 something in actual release case, and then lot 8 entitled to 3. And then this can be due to the size of the lot you bought. People who bought larger size, they tend to have larger entitlement. And yeah, once you get your entitlement, you basically will pay for the proportion which you own out of all the entitlement. So for example, if you look at lot 8 here, the overall entitlement is 16. Then to get 16, and its share of that is 3. So assuming if the annual OC fee is let's say $1,600, then this means that this lot 8 will pay for 3 out of 16 share of that, which is roughly around 300. Right. So basically the more entitlement your lot shares, the more you pay in OC. And again, as mentioned, it could be due to various factors. It could be just it's a it's a larger lot than the others. Right. So this is a lot entitlement. Now when it comes to voting, there's a special rule in in the current in the Owners Corporation Act, which is particularly designed for fairness. And that rule is that there would be only one vote per lot. Actually, this should be updated. It's not just a general meeting, but it's also there's another concept called ballot. We won't talk about ballot yet, but yeah, basically ballot is another form of voting. It's you can think of it, it's sending out an electronic vote to the members of OC, and then they can vote electronically. But yeah, ballot can take form in various forms. It can be electronic, it can be by letters, for example. As long as it's legit and compliant with the OC Act. So just to show you where this section is. So yeah, as you can see, section 87 says really one vote for each lot. So there is to be one vote for each lot, whether the resolution voted on in a meeting, or by ballot. So I'm doing this in in 2 languages. You see the Chinese language just then. Cool. All right. Let me change this to meeting. I mean, meeting covers all meeting, so can be general meeting or or any type of meeting. Now the next is general meeting. There are two type of general meeting. One is the annual general meeting. So this is like the basically the annual general meeting that's all OC have. And then there's this one is of course there's another one called special general meeting. So this is more, you can think of as like meeting that that's assembled unplanned, not unplanned. So, it could be something raised popped up related to OC, and that requires all the owner's input, and then from that point, yeah, there can be a special general meeting hosted, to address matters. Next is this one is special resolution. This one's very special. So basically in OC Act, there's a set of there will be a set of items that must require special resolutions to pass. To be compliant with the OC Act. For a special resolution to be compliant, or you can or let's use word legit. There has to be over at least 75% of all lot that's voted. So just to show you what this section is. Yeah, so section 96 explains about the special resolution. Let me jump to there. 96. Right. So yeah, here it's explained clearly, right? A special resolution that is passed by 75% of lot entitlement. And yeah. Right. Right. Let me put this aside for a bit. Right. So there are, what's this used for? So basically, there are specific set of decisions that can only be executed when it passes a special resolution. So this could be, if you look for special resolution, you can see, quite a few places related. But one of the most special one is legal proceeding. Yeah. So basically, legal proceeding you can think of as if your OC is using the OC's fund, and as I explained previously, OC is all the owners. So if there's some action that needs to use the the fund from all owners, or you can think of as the OC, which the owners have or invested their fund into the OC, and if the OC is using that fund to initiate any legal proceedings, it can only do that by having a special resolution. By having a special resolution to pass. And yeah, it's so this is specified very clearly in the OC Act. And this is good for good reasons. This let's say if there's some bad act that happened in your OC that misrepresented the OC, to initiate some legal funding or with some legal proceeding, without the owners, without the owners' input, or in this case without 75% of the owners to agree, so without that, it's likely there could be some bad act that happens, and it's acting on behalf of OC when when it's when OC is actually a representation set of all the owners. So think of if some bad act that's acting on behalf of OC, to go ahead with an unauthorized legal proceeding. That could be quite damaging to the OC. The financial side is always one thing, but the second part is also the reputational side. Cool. So next one is quorum. Now, in a general meeting, there will be a set list of items that will be discussed. There could be items related to budgeting. There could be items related to a specific let's say renovation in your building, right? When these items are discussed in a general meeting, there's a concept called quorum. So what is a quorum? So quorum is when 50% of the lot have voted yes towards this. So only so at this point, in a general meeting, items can only pass when it reaches a quorum. And let me yes, all right. Yep. Right, as you can see here, this is the original section 77. So at least 50% of the total number of lots. So yeah, you can think, and then again, this is protected to protect owners, right? So, right, the OC, is making decisions on items, right? And you don't want that item to pass, without at least 50% of owners agreeing to that, right? If that's not there, if some, let's say, bad act happen, it could cause and financial impact on the owners. So yeah, again, this is specifically there, to protect owners' interest. Only when this is compliant, then that particular item on the general meeting can be can be compliantly executed under the OC Act. But yeah, without a quorum, then it's not an compliant item can be executed. Without reaching a quorum. Yeah, so as you can see here, 50% of all the lot entitlement, at least 50% are green, and items, it requires a quorum, to pass. Now, keep in mind, this is the you can think of it as the perfect scenario, right? Because now the reality is that you have if you have a really large OC, it's in reality or in practicality, it's very unlikely all the lot entitlement owners will participate. And again, this goes back to the first chapter I talked about. It's really important for all the owners to participate. And let me go back to that, which I mentioned previously. Yeah. So here, right, the power of your vote. Your vote makes a difference. And yeah, I'm going to explain, and you will see furthermore. You will see further why why it's really important. For the owners to participate. You'll see very clear example in this case of what will happen. If that happen. So okay. In the perfect scenario, everyone participate, everyone vote, you get a 50% pass over quorum, the item get executed, all right? So, that will prevent bad act, let's say if there's some bad act that maybe, let's say, possesses 10 to 20% of the OC, right? And then, because of this 50% rule here, right, they cannot use their, that 10 to 20% to pass an item, that causes financial impact to the whole OC. Right. So that's perfect scenario. Everyone participate. 50% quorum required. Now the reality is, most owners they don't understand. They don't understand how OC works much. And they don't know about their right, and which I already talked about this in chapter 1, so I won't go to details. A lot of owners for a very large OC, a lot of owners probably won't participate. So in this case, there's this part which the OC Act have is this part is it has been put into the OC Act, which is about interim resolution. Now this is really important. Really pay attention to this, because this part is specifically there to address this scenario when not everyone participate, and it is the I think from perspective, I think the OC Act have really given its best to design the OC Act, which it will protect everyone's interest, but however it also needs to handle the scenario when practical scenario that if not everyone participate, what happens, and this is why it's here, right? Because if let's say if there's one person doesn't participate, and then does that mean the item doesn't go through? That could be probably doesn't make sense, right? It could be too harsh for for the let's say for the owners. Let's say if it's an item that's in the interest of all the owners, and just because one person doesn't give the effort to participate in the voting, then it's a loss. Anyway, what I want to highlight about this interim resolution is the importance of this is because this part, this act, this rules here, and in some of the gotchas you will see is you will see that these gotchas will just basically there could be bad act that's happening in the OC that's taking advantage of this interim resolution to pass items that's not in the interest of the OC, by leveraging their, let's say if they have 10 to 20% load control. Okay, I'll go into, so what is an interim resolution? So an interim resolution, which I refer to an OC Act, is right. So this is section 78, specified quite clearly. So let's say if an item in the, let's say in general meeting, it did not reach quorum. Now, but however, for the people who participate in that general meeting, right, for the people who voted in that general meeting, there's over, let's say over 50% that have voted yes to the item. Then that item will be an interim resolution. So so interim is just the word speaks for itself, like a temporary resolution. And what happens from here is very you need to all the owners, you really need to pay attention to this, right? And this is coming back, a key reason why you it's really encouraged, you must use your vote, right? Don't waste it. In a general meeting, an item, let's say the budget, right? Let's say the budget. If on the general meeting day, if it passes 50%, if it doesn't passes 50% of the total lot entitlement, however, it passes 50% of people who participated on that day, that item becomes an interim resolution. Now, what happens from here is that an interim resolution will become effective, right? So here, section 40, section 78 1C4 here have specified this interim resolution will become the resolution of the owned corporation, subject to this what's specified here, right? So I hope you can see this already, right? So so even with the quorum there to protect the owners, to protect the OC, does that mean the OC 100% 100% free from an item, which probably most owners don't want don't agree to, um, and an item most of them don't agree to, and which it won't pass. The short answer is no, because if people who participate on the day, if they are, let's say, some particular set of group, or it could be one to two groups, if they control a lot of quite a lot of the overall lot, let's just say even 10%. If on the day less than 15% of the lot participated, right? Then what could happen there is, what could happen is that the group with that set of power in their hand, they could pass an item, because of the lot, because of this set of lot they have on their hand, and let me use the power. Let me use the word actually, let me basically use the word misuse of power. So yeah, basically they could misuse of their power, and use that to pass an item on the day, and make that become an interim resolution. Now, when it becomes an interim resolution, if within 29 days, if it's not challenged, if within 29 days, excuse here, right, subject to B and C, 29 days from date of resolution, and here are some special ones. The notice, giving out this notice. So if something becomes an interim resolution on the general meeting day, you have to give this notice out. Notice given within 29 days period. Yeah. So you can hear if given within 29 days and it's not held, meeting is not held after notice at the end of 28 days, right? But yeah, basically what it means there is that within that 29 days, if it's not challenged, or or even if someone wants to challenge it, but it's not able to gain enough, it's not able to notify enough lot owners to to the problem, then under the OC Act, compliantly interim resolution does become a resolution, in a compliant way, effectively in a compliant way. So that's what I want to highlight, right? Because this is really important for all the owners. Like, you're not free. You're not free to from you're not 100% free from a bad act, just because there's a quorum there to protect you, right? If you don't make an effort, to join the meeting, if not everyone makes an effort, let's say even if let's say 30% people make an effort to join the general meeting, right? But if there's some group that have even say 20% of the voting power on the day, right? They could push an item that's not in interest of the overall OC, across, and since if it's not challenged within 29 days, which if you think about it, if people don't bother to join the AGM or AGM to vote, would it be likely you would even some set of lot owners they want to address properly, would it likely they will gain enough vote or enough attention to address this bad act item which they found out? Here I just use the example. If let's say the group with constitutive vote, entitlement, if they pass a budget that's, let's say, unsubstantiated, and it's unsubstantiated, unjustified in a general meeting, right? It could still become resolution if it complies with that 25 with that interim resolution process. And again, right? This comes to the point I was speaking. You need to make an effort to participate. You take notice of the power of your vote, taking notice how important it is. Don't waste it. If you don't even take an effort to make the vote, then you probably don't deserve to, probably you don't really fully deserve the to enjoy the goodness of using your vote. Which in this case, if this does happen, right, there could be a bad act item, let's say an unsubstantiated budget that's way over budgeted, but it still passes as an interim resolution, and then after 29 days, if you're not able to get enough support or attention to address the matter, because if you're hosting a SGM to address matter, you also need 25% entitlement to agree. Well, I'll talk about this later. Later in my video. How to what are the compliant way to lodge an SGM. Yeah. So if it's not addressing within that 29 days, then that becomes a resolution. And if that happens, if you want to revert that, the communication cost to and also time investment to to address a resolution that has passed is very difficult. It will be definitely much harder. Yeah. So yeah, this is it. Hope you enjoy this video and understand how important this chapter 2 is, and especially around the how voting works, and special resolution, quorum, what is a quorum, and especially important is this interim resolution. You must draw high attention to this, because a lot of the bad act item does use this interim resolution to get its way into the final resolution, and God bless, don't let that happen. All right, thank you. Just adding a bit more, as I've roughly mentioned about the specific I guess case, if some bad act take advantage of the interim resolution to get its way in. So I guess two sides. So a specific scenario. Let's say if on the day of a general meeting, let's say 50 people who attended. Okay, just 50 people who attended a general meeting. Let's say if your whole total OC lot is there, maybe 1,000 lot, and if only 50 out of the 1,000 attended on the general meeting, and out of that 50 there's maybe 1 to 5, let's say just 5 people who share the same interest, belong to the same interest group. And if they have, let's say, even let's say 80 lots entitlement on their hand, and so what would that mean? So basically it means that the voting power on their hand is 80. That's already greater than the 50 total people who attended the general meeting. And yeah, and if that does become scenario, that can be the group can use their power to to push items that's not in the interest of the OC into into becoming a resolution, which eventually takes effect. So that's the situation. Now, keep in mind, for that specific scenario, there it's not, even if that does happen, there are still ways to address it, and I will I will just quickly show this. I won't discuss too much in detail, but I will just show what can basically the power of VCAT, and VCAT is here. VCAT is there to to ensure that that the OCs are done compliantly, right? That's what VCAT is there for, right? It's there to to sort to address matters arises in OC. So in the OC Act, there are a set of powers VCAT have, and now, even if this case, I still don't like don't leave it to this don't expect, or what I want to say is don't put an effort into voting, right? And because the communication cost in getting this right, it there's a lot of communication cost and time investment into this, in order to get VCAT involved, and to get and for VCAT to to solve a problem, so I'm just going to this VCAT main. All right, okay, so VCAT can appoint a manager. So if VCAT does see in accordance with OC Act, which I believe there should be one above. Let me find the right. Let me just use I just picked the fair. There's a lot of come on. All right, okay, cool. All right, section 165. All right, what orders can VCAT make? So here specifically, in accordance with the OC Act, so VCAT can make any orders that it considers as fairs, under this category. For that specific scenario, it's a clear misuse of power situation. Right? 5 people out of the 50 people, they push items through when all the other 45 out of 50 who attended the general meeting on the day, they don't agree, and they forces items through by misusing their the deity voting they have on hand. Right. So for that specific scenario, or for other similar scenarios. So under OC Act 165, so VCAT can make orders to address that. Now I will go through this in more detail in future chapters, but I just want to sort of quickly mention this. But even you have as a practical practical even if you have this, right, don't don't leave to that moment, because because you have the voting power on your hand, so use it, make an effort, to to make an impact, right? If you truly have done everything you could, in good faith, in the interest of OC, but still seeing things not complying with OC Act, then of course get the VCAT involved, get the VCAT onto OC issue, and make sure everything's done complying with the OC Act, right? Anyway, cheers.